Ready. Hi,
Oh my
Nancy, we're
gosh,
back.
we're recording in progress.
Yes.
It's all in progress.
And I don't know how the progress can keep up with you guys because you are on a mad dash around the world. Every time I look at Facebook, it's like, holy moly. They're there, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we left Bali a couple days ago, and now we're in the on the Indonesian island of Java. So we get to slow down every now and then, and when we find good Wi-Fi, we find you.
Oh, I love it.
Well,
Yay
we
for good
are,
Wi-Fi.
yeah,
I know.
yeah, okay, fine. We're on to Mad Dash, but we also have stayed really current because we now today want to talk with you about our 25 days in Japan, which we did in late April and into
Late March, darling.
late March into the first several weeks of April.
Yeah, if you recall, we had just 5 days back in Portland, finish our packing up, and then we were off to Japan. And it was interesting because we've done springtime in Japan before on our previous journey, and we loved the cherry blossoms.
2018.
And so when we arrived, it was chilly, it was rainy, and kind of blustery from time to time in Tokyo. So needless to say, we had 25 fabulous days of cherry blossoms that just kept going and going and going. And, because we've watched the cherry blossoms down on the waterfront in Portland, Oregon, all these years, and you have too, it's like you get just a window about, I don't know, maybe 5-7 days maximum. Usually a big rain will come in and just knock them all down. And, so it's always a magical event. Everyone runs towards the blossoms.
So there's a website that you can follow when you're in Japan about gauging when it's going to peak in different parts of the islands there. And it just so happened that when we were there, things generally speaking were a little bit behind the curveball. It was a little bit later because of the relative sort of coolness of the climate. And that applied to both in the north central, where we were in Tokyo for 11 or a couple weeks.
Tokyo?
Tokyo overall for a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, the first hotel for 11 days and then the weekend in Kawasaki for 3 or so.
Actually, we were at the Airbnb for a week, Paul. It felt like 11 days because of your injury.
Yeah, which
but we'll talk more about that later.
We didn't want to start. We were going to bury the lead story for the third item.
It's like not that Debbie Downer right away, please.
Yeah,
so we're going to push
it.
on with some excitement.
But the point being is that we did have wonderful cherry blossom experiences, both in Osaka when we got down there to the Kobe, Osaka area, and in Tokyo, which when we first arrived felt a little bit before the peak.
Oh, we were bundled up. It seemed like everything we had that we could wear that was warm, we were just layered. So,
but in our days in Portland, we were trying to get over to Cinema 21 on Northwest 21st
3 blocks
to
away.
see the new documentary movie called Perfect Days.
Perfect Days.
And it's
friends kept saying, "Oh, you have to see this."
It's this beautiful...
our dearest friend Steve Lee, who we love and admire, and we got to spend time with. He's just like, "Oh, guys, you must go."
Based in
every day
Tokyo Metro, and we didn't see it, but we know that it's based in Tokyo Metro.
Yeah.
On the special art project, I guess, right? This guy is a cleaner of the Tokyo public toilets.
Yeah, not related to these modern toilets. It just tells his story as a cleaner.
See, I didn't even realize that. But what we also learned about in tandem was that we'd read in the year before we got there about a special kind of art collaborative project with designers to recreate a selection of about 17 or so
17
public Tokyo toilets
with these amazing architects, right? So
and of course Japan has a great sort of like toilet culture in general and are known for their Toto
I didn't
toilets.
know everywhere you go from the airport, as soon as you land, there's these Toto washlet toilets with
Right.
like all sorts of bells and whistles. Like if people are like, what the hell is a Toto toilet washlet? Google it, because there's like, it's like a car. You can, it doesn't take you anywhere. That's a bad analogy.
So rather than,
But
yeah,
it even has music and like
we have pictures.
heated seats and blow dryers
We have
and
pictures and a little video to show you. So rather than start with my back injury, you thought, let's start with the toilets.
Let's
So,
start.
it's all downhill.
so here we go. This is
Um,
our website, and this is this picture here.
This was the last one that we saw, and I think
And
it was
you're seeing this, right, Nancy?
a
Oh,
wood
yes.
a wood frontage on it.
Which we happened to take. It took us all day to do. We did a 1-day tour.
I love that.
Now it's actually, we were in the suburban community of Shinjuku, greater metro Tokyo. That's where we were staying. And these projects are in, some of them are in Shinjuku and some of them are in the adjacent suburban town city of Shibuya. And
Ooh,
so
good
most of them
job.
most of them are in Shibuya, with a few of them in Shinjuku. So
So-
this is a selection of the images that you can see, that these exteriors, I'm going to show you a little video too.
Now we set off just walking. So that day, I think we did, I don't know, 22,000 steps. And this was
Yeah, so here is like,
mind blowing.
here's a little,
see.
so here's a little video. We'll just watch a few seconds. It's a couple minutes, but you go in and
Okay, so this public toilet in Tokyo is really separate for men.
right, we mostly went into the men's.
No,
That's a good idea.
But this one was really a good shape.
can be for males or females. So I love this.
This is all public.
It's
Oh,
wrong button, of course.
get this one out.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So, of course, a lot of US
See,
towns.
there's the washlet, all those buttons that you can see.
And a fancy.
Take you a half hour to figure out what to do over there.
This,
Toilet.
all of these controls. So this is really part of their culture. And so here's a few more stills, different exteriors. So they worked with designers. And so we did a tour of this, just for something kind of quirky and off the beaten path. And we found an Indian restaurant, of course, halfway. And so we stopped and had lunch.
Well, it was like, we had to
Like here's-
hydrate so that we really had a reason to go into these places. This one was really cute. Looked like a little house in the neighborhood with
Yeah.
a picket fence. Smaller, but I mean, they're all so nicely done and like super clean.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
now
look at that.
this one,
Is this the one that's transparent until you go inside? There was one, we didn't really
Yeah.
quite see that
Well,
one. I
there's-
wasn't sure.
yeah, we had a friend say, well, did you go into the one that's like completely clear?
Which-
Here's an image of Paul going in. Now, I've seen other clips because now Tokyo Toilet Project is actually, you can pay like $100 to like probably travel to all 17 of them. We managed to get to 11, and then, the back injury flared up and Paul was bedridden. So when we go back, I want to finish out the rest of the 6. Maybe they will have added more, but
But we strategically walked to, I made sort of like a little map, and we kind of realized that from here to here was a reasonable walk. And so we did what we could do in 1 day's time, and knowing that we weren't going to hit them all.
beer,
17, I think.
snacks, ice cream, and water. So we're like, okay, do you have to pee or do I have to pee? And it was like, well, we can pretend, but so well done, Tokyo. I'm super impressed.
So
And-
we sort of chose some offbeat activities, and another one that we chose. So that was the toilet project. And then another one we chose, we had heard about this kind of traditional Shinto ceremonial sort of,
Fertility and Prosperity Festival. That's an annual event, and actually
Kanamura,
Kanamura, what is it?
yeah, well, we also have
Okay.
we've just been
It
calling, okay,
is-
fine, it's called the Penis
It is
Festival.
the Shinto Kanamura
Matsuri.
Matsuri annual festival, and it's in Kawasaki, but there are other cities that do similar festivals at different times of the year.
So we have a little bit of Penis Festival.
And
to
in the
show you.
Japanese culture, let me tell you, it's really proper and quite reserved. So then you show up, it's like a 2-day event.
This is a little video that we have on our YouTube channel.
This was so much fun. And it was really
Playful.
like a 15-minute parade. And they marched down the street. You can see another one in the background coming. And so some of the money that they're raising is for AIDS projects in Japan. But it is super playful. There's all sorts of, paraphernalia that you can purchase. And, Paul forgot his hat.
Hold on, let me stop the share.
Okay. And so I was set off to like find him a beer and couldn't find a hat, but instead I thought he could use this as a head wrap.
Which I did not.
It
put
was
this on
too
my
much
head.
fabric.
But this is a traditional, and we're going to talk to you a little bit later
Yes.
about the Japanese onsen culture. So they have an amazing bathing, communal bathing culture that many people are aware of.
Here,
Anybody
this
that
is- this is
anybody
your
that
stole.
anybody that travels there knows. And so this is actually the little towel that you can use in the Japanese onsen. You go in to hand scrub or wipe your face off.
Actually been a hand towel for us at Bali Al Natural.
Right. So we have just now,
It's our travel towel.
it's our travel towel. So that was the
Now,
Kanamura Festival.
one more
Oh,
prop.
one more prop.
Now, these, and you can go to Global Hotel Guys on Facebook. Like I said, they were selling all sorts of goodies and everywhere. And I was too embarrassed
So was
to
I.
actually pull out my sucker, which I bought these
As
on
gifts.
day one, because on day one, we went to the, temple, Kanamara temple?
Well, it was the procession for the parade procession was from one Shinto shrine to
It's quite
another.
good.
And this region of Kawasaki, this is also a regional town sort of surrounding Tokyo to the south and southwest, was an area where there were a lot of Japanese sex workers. And I think that what we learned
right.
was that part of this festival was in sort of for protection
Yeah.
for the sex workers.
Yeah. they
But it's
came to
been
the
adopted. This is historical.
Yeah.
So, but it's been adopted in a rather buttoned down sort of like Japanese culture where this festival is just this very lighthearted, playful, embraced by the Japanese as something. We went with our friend Aki, who he and his husband Jim now live in Boise, Idaho, but they were back in Japan coincidentally, and we had visited them in their home when we were there the first time. So we had a chance to get back together with them, and Aki, who's Japanese by birth, was like, "Oh my God!"
He was mortified looking around in the city of Kawasaki, right? And it wasn't like this is a gay event.
No,
it was
not
just
at
like
all.
all people who are just like playful. They would be in costumes, but it was just like I would see these Japanese married couples, and they're like, we're just standing around enjoying these lollipops. And boy, this flavor is quite good. But when we were in public, seriously, the first day that I bought these, they have a radish carving ceremony. Then they carve this
daikon
radish. You've seen that probably on our post on Facebook. But anyway, those are then taken into the temple. I purchased these, and then for 2 days I watched people with these lollipops, and I would say, even when Aki was so shocked that this was happening in his country, and I'm like, I'm too embarrassed to do this in public. And so now I've created a YouTube video, and now everyone knows that they're actually good. So if you ever go to the Penis Festival, and isn't it like the first? Is it a full moon time?
I forget. It's something that is always the same, some cycle in the spring that also coincides with the cherry blossoms.
So playful.
So
we had a great hotel when we were there.
Yeah. So we did some really fun offbeat events around Tokyo. And we also intended to then go into central Tokyo and do some, central Tokyo sightseeing, which when we were there before, we were a little more central, but Tokyo is sort of overwhelming. But unfortunately,
Love it though.
topic number 3 was I hurt my back upon arrival, and it sort of put a little bit of a kink, to say the least, into some of our activities. So I soldiered through the toilet project day. I was doing all right, but I think it's probably too much walking that day, and it really threw me into sort of a
Immediate bed rest,
Yeah.
level 9 pain.
so
Let me give the front story though. We get off the plane in Tokyo, like, I don't know, 5 a.m., not even, it was early. And so we navigate, this subway system, and we are tired, even though we slept a bit on the plane. We're like, oh, there's no elevator lift in this area. And we had 3 roller bags, instead of like each having 2 backpacks. We'd change it up because we were having back and shoulder issues. We're like, okay, ditch the backpacks, put them in storage in Portland, and now we'll have this little carry-on roller plus our standard Osprey bags that keep on giving. They just do not die. Anyway, so Paul is acting like all muscle man and 45, which he might look it, but he's a
He
bit
doesn't.
older. And I'm like, oh my God, because I have a shoulder injury from Buenos Aires that I'm like slowly nursing. And so I'm kind of like useless with this arm. And I forget, but it's like a stupid issue, aging body.
It reminds you, I'm
there.
sure.
Yeah. And so here's Paul, just doing his thing. And then it's just like suddenly after the penis or the toilet project touring, it was like he woke up and he was a mess. And how he did this, really ultimately all through Japan, he just soldiered onward and
Yeah.
onward. And you take it because you
Well,
found a chiropractor the first time
Yeah,
in
so
Tokyo.
we missed what was going to be up to 3 days worth of sightseeing, jump on the train and go from Shinjuku out west, the western town surrounding Tokyo, into the main city, enjoy the beautiful central parks and the very fresh cherry blossoms. And unfortunately, instead, I was finding what turned out to be really 2 really great experiences, especially one to a mom and pop physical therapy clinic / acupuncturist in the neighborhood.
5-minute walk.
So I went to see them for a couple of days. They were very nurturing.
Lovely.
I mean, this was going to just require time more than anything else. So I also did find a chiropractor in the nearby town. And so I went there, but it really was over a month. It was really after we got out of Japan that I was still kind of getting over it. And it's really only in the last week that I can really say
it's over.
I can talk about it in the past tense.
I've never seen Paul like,
No.
I've in all our years together.
So
like, oh my God.
I wrote on our hotelguys.com. I do a little periodic blog, and even these podcasts for us are our memories in the future. In fact, when we timestamped this with dates, I wanted to even just add the year that it's 2024, because for us, I mean, we'll be listening to these, later on, maybe when we stop traveling. And if anybody else listens to them, great. But, they're kind of like for us and anybody else that's interested to just sort of remember back to these times. So, we'll circle back in Tokyo sometime in the future and get back to what we didn't miss. We don't have to do it all at once. It was all about just being present in the moment and really just having that wonderful experience, finding, and because of the, not just language barrier, but different alphabet barrier, not everything is always in the Roman, letters or in English. So, I mean, we just make it work. I mean, it's like a challenge. And so was I stupid? So I was saying that I wrote a long blog post under our Au Natural excursion that recounts the backstory for anybody else that needs more details. I personally don't need to offer anymore. I think we can move on.
Out of sight, out of mind. Well, we did find a great men's only onsen
which was
like a
really,
20-minute walk
yeah,
from our neighborhood.
yeah, it's on
And
the other
Paul and
side
I
of
went
the,
once.
yeah, we were on the outskirts of the Shinjuku area, and this
Yeah.
was on the other side of the Shinjuku train station called 24 Kaikan,
Yeah.
which is a wonderful sauna that we went to a couple of times, which
You went
was
once, I
really
went twice.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that seemed to help.
so we managed to, kind of like work the back injury into the overall thing, but we did
Yeah.
also download the book Chronic Back Pain or just Chronic Pain. Somebody had recommended, one of our, I think Instagram friends recommended a book.
Naoshima, that elder woman, she says, I have no more pain.
Yeah, she recommended a book
You
called
must be-
Chronic Pain. I don't remember who the author was. There's probably more than
I'm
one
listening to
book.
it.
Yeah, so, we
Female
just,
doc.
did everything that we could,
Yeah.
body, mind, and spirit, to just sort of put it into perspective and keep moving,
Yeah.
which we did. And so the next thing we wanted to talk to you about was one of the main reasons that we went back to Japan was to go down to the Osaka region in the Seto Inland Sea region.
On the trains, can I say it
course.
again?
I
We
mean,
love the trains in
They're
Japan.
like amusement park rides for
Oh,
grown-ups.
yes.
Anybody really.
Prompt to trains. They are never late.
We did,
Never.
yeah, we did like a couple week pass on Japan Rail Pass when we were there the first time, but
Yeah.
we realized we weren't going to need the pass. We did a little bit more hither and yon, coming and going when we were there before, and staying
Right.
on weekends with our friends Jim and Aki. But this time we just bought the straight out ticket to get down to
Uno.
the Osaka region, but yeah, so ultimately to Naoshima Island, Naoshima, Naoshima Island on the
So it
Seto
was-
Inland Sea.
Yeah, it was a short ferry from where we were staying in the little town of Uno.
Yeah, it was one of our destinations intentional.
And if you recall, we were in Hotel 10. It was the bicycle track racer, room 2019. It was like the top penthouse. That was incredible. And just a quick walk down through the town, and we caught the ferry across.
Yeah, great hotel. But when we opted not to stay on the island, but when we did get to Naoshima Island, one of the things to really do there is two really amazing museums, among other outdoor artistic installations. Naoshima and even some of the immediate surrounding islands, they are developed as wonderful tourist destinations. A lot of Europeans go there, but there were people from all over the place.
And this installation is all stone.
Yeah, this is the Benizi Museum.
Right, which is also a hotel.
So we just have a few pictures to share with you. These are
That
off
was
of
my
our,
one of my favorites.
yeah,
I
off
mean,
of our website.
this museum, now
Well,
this,
I'm going to interrupt you and say that I've probably spent more time looking at these pictures than any other one thing I have ever seen you post.
wow,
Every single one of these is just so mind-boggling.
Yeah.
it's
I can imagine what it was like to be there and see it in
Now,
person.
this,
Okay, we'll
you
come back
lifted this
we'll-
because
we'll come back to a
you
few
cannot
more.
photograph
Yeah,
that
you're
one.
not allowed to photograph
So
that
Paul
particular
stole that
one.
one offline.
Yeah.
It's little soldiers, and it is incredible. And it was the only one that they said no photographs. It's mirrored on the wall so that it gives you this whole circular 360 degree of marching soldiers in, silver and red. It was like, wow, I wanted to photograph it.
And we were on e-bikes the whole time through the island, which was really also sort of like adult amusement park, stuff. And so we kind of like
That
you,
was so much
it was
fun.
a beautiful day. The
Even with your bad back.
cherry blossoms, well, you just push through it. Even with, the cherry blossoms were in basically just past peak, but even just past peak is not
No.
really past peak. It's beautiful there.
Now, all the spring flowers were blooming. I want to do a whole segment on springtime flowers of Japan, because it's not just the cherry blossoms. It was like being back home in Oregon. And I have to tell you, I am truly an Oregonian when it comes to all the beauty of springtime.
And it wasn't just the Benizi
Oh.
Museum, which was really world-class, amazing.
Do you have more to show of that?
I do. I'll show a few more, but it
Yeah.
was also a museum called Chichu, and you had to make a reservation for that one. The other one, you didn't have to. You could walk in, but the Chichu's smaller, and it has a few very select, very large scale Monets that are exquisitely done. And, we have on our website,
That was
a
cool.
favorites tab, and under that is the best museums in the world that we've ever been to. And, we're kind of museum freaks.
Yes.
And not every museum goes up there. A lot of them do, because we really go to good ones. But the Naoshima museums of Benizi and Chichu, we do have a whole selection up there. And let me
So
just show you just a couple more images from the Benizi, I'm pretty sure it was.
Where are we?
Yeah,
Okay,
back to
so
this, and then,
lunch
well, we had
break.
great
Yeah, we'll
food.
talk about
But
chicken
there was
later.
some great outdoor, like very integrated into
Jumbo
the
market.
environment in only a way that the Japanese did.
These waved back and forth ever so gently. Hardly
Over time. Yeah,
noticed
you
it.
had to stand.
That's the iconic.
It's hard to
pumpkin.
get like a perspective on this one. It's almost better if there's somebody in there, but this is like, I don't know, 25 feet high or even,
I
it's
don't
like
know. It's
maybe
sitting
about
out kind of
20
on a
feet.
pier.
Yeah, 20 feet high. And then they had these natural, like these
One of my
silver
favorites.
balls that like cling. They made a noise when they cling.
So
clink.
actually they start out in kind of like the back of this pond, and they'll start drifting
Depending on the
into
wind.
water. Yes, and they'll just, it's like they have chimes inside almost. They'll just ting, ting.
And then
ting.
they have them set in the landscape as well.
It's all part of this installation. I was hooked on this space. Now that's a room full of these balls.
So, and then
Here's the iconic blue
this
cup.
this also looks like it could be like a, like we're doing it like it's a 3-inch bowl. This is sort of like, I don't know, 10 feet across. It's like
Probably.
this huge thing.
Yeah.
Perched on the edge, and the island surrounding, you could see that the day was perfect.
And they're like,
So there is like scale with Rich. So there's another one. And
yeah, but
it was just, I'm so glad we went. And this was
Oh.
something that we really had read about after we had been there the first time to Japan. And we were like, that just sounds
We
like
have
our
to
kind
do.
of destination.
highly recommend this location.
And you can stay on the island, but we chose
Yeah.
it's a velodrome
Hotel 10.
bike hotel,
Hotel
10
10.
Kirin 10 Kirin Hotel, in the little town of Uno, which
Yeah.
was a good choice. Instead of staying on the island, we
It
had
was.
sort of like a really nice hotel.
Oh, and then we
So,
biked past the
yeah, so
cemetery.
there's just all kinds of
What
stuff
else you
to
got?
see.
Keep going. I'm gonna,
Well,
anything else?
Well, I don't think I'd even
Show
know.
me.
So,
Okay.
okay.
See,
So
that's what I thought. We had read about this public onsen. This is kind of the shot you should never
okay,
take
you're not
because
supposed
they
to take
say
pictures
no
in here.
pictures. But we had the place to ourselves, and everyone said it's like super artsy, right? With a life-size elephant dividing the men's side from the women's onsen side.
So this is the typical interior of where you go and take this communal bath.
So
You scrub at these little sections
you
off
can
to the
see the
left
little
and right.
stools.
And then very often different baths will have different tubs of different temperatures or even different mineral
And the
content.
bottom,
But this particular little community one in the little town on Naoshima Island, which tourists were welcome. And so
yeah.
we paid to go in here and just have a little bath at the conclusion of our day.
The beautiful tiling, you can't really see it
A little
in the bottom where
little
Paul is
locker
sitting.
room.
Yeah,
Very
this is
cute.
the room that you get dressed. Again, no photographs, but yours truly.
Yeah, and lots of artsy
And that's at
stuff.
the biker hotel.
Yeah.
I think.
So that's kind of our experience on the island, which was just amazing.
Loved it. And we had really good food in the little town. We strolled into a mom and pop restaurant. We were going to go do Italian pizza. We had read this is like great pizza, right? So, they're
this
not
is
open.
back in the town of Uno.
Yeah, they're not open. This was like after coming off of Naoshima Island.
Was it like a 30-minute ferry back to Uno?
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
And so we find this, Paul's like, I don't even think they're open. And we wander in, and here's this husband and wife in their little restaurant. And we just thought, okay, we'll just have a beer.
Waiting
and
for
we'll
the
wait
pizza
to-
joint to open around the corner.
And they could not have been more lovely. And it was like, here, try this. And we had appetizers like you wouldn't believe. And I was eating things that I typically don't eat or even know what I'm eating. and so that whole experience.
Yeah,
was
we
just
had like sashimi,
another
tuna, and like a little what's eel in Japanese, anagi.
Yeah.
And so
And while we're,
and really good Japanese beer. I mean, the beer in Japan was really good.
and then while we're sitting at the counter, no one else was in there. It was just the four of us. And we're seeing the Japanese news hour show, and up pops the
Just so
Prime Minister
happens.
and Joe Biden having their conversation, because the Prime Minister had just brought 250 cherry trees to replace, there's like a renovation along the river in Washington, DC.
Yeah.
And so it was like, that was incredible just to see.
The state dinner, I mean, they did a state dinner
All
for
of
the
that.
prime minister and his wife in Washington,
Yeah.
Jill and Joe. And so they had pictures of that. And so we watched in Japanese in this Japanese tavern
And we,
with this older couple. And just, it was just really like
a memory for
one of those haphazard sort of experiences
Yeah, and the pizza at the next restaurant was
out of this world. And
incredible.
yeah, yeah.
We sat at the bar and just watched that whole thing get created.
So you ate at the little Japanese place, you had hors d'oeuvres and then went over and had pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
And
was
a salad.
Yeah, yeah, but it
and
was
another
very
beer, I think.
even the pizza joint was very Japanese sort of style in some
Yeah.
ways. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so we had been so we went from the Tokyo metro area to basically the Osaka Kobe metro area. Uno's and Naoshima is sort of really kind of part of that. It's not very far. We were going to then be leaving that region, heading into Kobe, and our last stop at a very traditional onsen that was up in the little bit of a mountainous region just outside Osaka and Kobe. But on the way there is one of the, and this only was like, I don't know, was it an hour and a half maximum from point A to point B on the train?
Yeah. Our
But
friend Jim recommended
on the way there is
this
a place called Himeji Castle, Himeji. And so we thought, well, we could go to Kobe and then backtrack and do it as a day activity, or just stop on the way. And what we had been really smart after the back injury, only after then did we learn that there's this service that moves your luggage from hotel to
I'm glad you
hotel
mentioned that.
called Yamato Transport. And I think it's yamato-transport.com, YAMATO, or something really close to that. You'll find it.
Thank you, Amy in Morocco, for telling us about this
Yes,
transport.
our old dear friend that lives in Morocco now, we know her from Portland. She and her husband live
Amy
in Morocco.
Hagstrom, we love you.
She saved us really, because we then found a very reasonably priced service to move our luggage from point to point.
Every time.
So it would take one day, and in one instance, it was a 2-day transfer to the very last place. Worked out perfectly. So on our transfer from the island area to Kobe and then on to the airport, we just had one little suitcase. So it made it very easy.
We love that little suitcase.
In
We're
our
traveling with it
condition.
now.
Yeah, in our condition.
Yeah.
To then
It's the only one.
arrive at the Himeji Castle stop. And of course, everything in Japan is
You
like,
have pictures
get
of
off the
that.
train and walk 5 minutes and put your luggage in a thing and then walk
Yeah.
10 minutes and you're at the castle.
Yeah.
Everything is so convenient. So we did just check a bag for the day at the train station, did the Himeji Castle, which we have pictures to show you.
Yes.
And these are our show off pictures of the
This castle was,
of the Japanese cherry blossoms.
well, they were endless. This castle was kind of like a military post to protect
So there's Rich
the city.
just outside the train station. Then we have just a couple. I mean, come on, look at that.
That castle was
We
where
climbed
is
we climbed
quite
to
a
the top.
time.
Yeah, it wasn't
and
that bad.
The tour was super organized. They moved people through this wooden interior, which is gorgeous on the inside, but the blossoms, again, they were just starting.
No,
to
this
fall
was,
here.
I thought they were past, no, this was
No,
past peak.
no,
No.
No.
Hey, our friend Jim had been there the week before and he had said it was peaking. And so we thought, oh, when we get down there, it might be a little bit past. But,
No.
as with our Portland Springs, it's like such a refrigeration unit. Everything lasts forever.
It did. It really.
So things were still beautiful, but this was technically a little bit past peak, but it's still just
They
absolutely.
were just.
Yeah, because they were
starting to sweep them
well,
up,
they were
but
raking them up.
not too many.
It was beautiful. So
Well, that castle is just unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, you could.
Wow. And did you take a tour of the castle?
whoops. Oh, I got I've got I think I'm running. Yeah, something's running in the background. Wait, I've got to go turn it off.
Show the room.
What does
Okay,
that
I'm
look-
just killing that. Okay, that's,
Ooh, now that you're
oh
teasing them
boy,
with
I know this
food.
is a teaser, but we'll be back there. Yeah,
Wow.
well,
Yeah.
we,
Oh,
yeah, so then we went into Kobe, you know, Osaka's like the second city of Japan, just like where we are here in Indonesia today. Shibuya is the second city of after Jakarta in Indonesia. And we sometimes like we're spending more time here in the second city than we will be in Jakarta. And we did the same thing down south rather than go to we chose a smaller city of Kobe to spend a few
Yeah.
days in.
love that city.
And we found a great hotel chain, the
The
Okura chain. They also have another brand under the same Okura brand. It's a
Great value.
hotel.
Yeah.
So we stayed at the
5-star.
waterfront in Kobe at the suggestion of our friend Jim. And they also have a little within walking distance of our hotel, a nearby Chinatown. And so we just explored around Kobe, but then it's only, you know, not too far from Osaka. But then we went to the last thing, I think it's the last thing on our list, nearly the Arima area of Arima. The Arima is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Japanese onsen.
It dates back to 1191.
And we stayed actually
Yeah.
I mean, it's been refurbished a few times since
So
then.
before we get to the hotel, let's talk about the tunnel that we went through.
I know, I was thinking the
bus.
same thing. It was amazing.
Oh, I
So,
thought we'd never get out
you
of
know,
it though.
Japan is a very urban society, right? Even though there's a lot of you can get out of town and get into nature really
Yeah,
easily.
yeah.
Things are very urbanized and very built up in that way. That's why everything is so convenient on the trains. And so we're in the town of Kobe. I'm going to say little town of Kobe. It's like, I don't know, a couple million.
Yeah.
Or less. And we're at the train station. We catch a bus at the train station that's going to take us to the Arima Onsen. We like go up to the corner and turn left, and then we're suddenly in a tunnel for like 7 kilometers.
Oh, 8.5.
It was like it, and we come out into the mountains. So from the central city, it's like a 30-minute bus.
Yeah.
If
And
you
then it's
took
like,
you can take the train and it was like an hour and a half with the transfer a couple of times, or
yeah,
you could take this 30-minute bus like as like a gopher and underground and end up in this bucolic day trip-y kind of area. A lot of people day trip there, but there are also a lot of hotels.
I'm kind of like freaked out because, there was an earthquake. I mean, Japan gets a lot of earthquakes. So
every day.
our friends are checking in. Oh, did you feel anything?
We
And
didn't.
no, we hadn't. And so, as we're going through this dark tunnel and it just like on and on and on, and I'm seeing little exit routes every now and then with ladders, and I'm like, okay, earthquake, I hope.
I was actually, and I'm not, and I was getting claustrophobic a little bit.
We blew out the other end, and seriously, I think, Paul, in maybe 6 minutes, we were in this little town, which was like magical. It's like they roll up the streets at like 6:30, so get to dinner before then. It's like almost, well, because it's so close to Kobe, it's like the tourists come and they go, and they just wander through the streets and
And
shop
it's
and
just as a
eat.
convenient day trip from Osaka. So you have a lot, which is a very big population center.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of tourists and a lot of Japanese that come in for the day. And we were staying in this very traditional, very old Japanese onsen bathhouse hotel, very traditional, like you had to surrender your shoes at the front door. It's sort of
It was
like
like-
shoe Japanese Nazis. And you have
Like
to,
every room we would go into.
we needed different shoes. It's like, don't walk with these
Which
shoes
ones? I'm like,
here.
Paul, you've got the wrong ones on.
They were very
It's just
nice
like,
about it,
it's
and they
seriously-
teached us.
You're going into this
Yeah.
room now, you slip into that. So
Wow.
I mean, we felt like giants in our room. We paid, I think, $300, including this fabulous, 3 breakfasts.
Okay, which we have a little video of the breakfast because it's just
I
ridiculous.
mean, it's not our breakfast.
So
This is like dinner.
we chose a very splurgy. This is our last location in Japan,
But
basically.
the onsen's fabulous. What do you
Yeah,
got, Paul?
so I've got it right
I'm
here. This is
okay.
So I'll just play
Lovely
this. I'm
piece
gonna,
of fish.
okay, now this does have a little music, which we want you to hear
Yeah,
too.
this is
Here's
really
breakfast
sweet.
number two.
Yes.
Japanese styles.
Which is really nice that it's not the exact same.
Breakfast of champions in Japan.
Holy moly, that's a breakfast.
Yes. But isn't this music super zenny, Nancy?
I can't hear any music.
Okay, good. That's just as
Too
well.
bad.
Yeah, it's on, we actually have this on our, I don't know where we have it. We have it on well, this one's
Ooh, I want that one.
right.
Yeah,
That looks, it's gorgeous.
yeah. It is super amazing what they do. Like I said, it's like a dinner.
Yeah.
And you know,
Is
because
that salmon in that bowl?
No,
no,
the bowl was a shrimp and this is a whitefish.
yummy
This is soft tofu.
tofu
And this is like a little egg omelet here, this yellow thing on the right.
in a clear sauce.
The one on the right in the, that looks pink and thick?
That's soft tofu with the tomato on top.
The yellow
No,
omelet.
no, that's not, you've got, talked about everyone except the one I'm looking at.
Well, the yellow one on the, I think of it as on the right in the round sort of oblong bowl is an
Yes.
egg. That's an egg omelet in a water wash or like a broth wash, a miso.
That's an omelet?
Yeah, it's a little egg turn
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
done in like a warm miso bath, I guess I
Yeah.
would call
Now,
it.
Nancy, I'm one that just loves containers and little bowls and plates.
Yep.
Aren't they incredible?
Oh my gosh, I'd want to take them all home.
I
I'd put
know.
them in my suitcase
I see.
and then make Paul carry it.
I know. There was
Right,
one.
no, please.
There was
It'd have
one-
to have wheels.
You probably saw
I'll
the,
ship it.
you saw the one where I'm holding this bowl with a crow on it.
Yes,
Oh my God, I wanted to steal that bowl, but I'm
I
not that
know. I
guy.
can well
But
imagine.
yeah.
So so we love the Japanese culture in so many aspects, the quirkiness of the kooky festivals, maybe in an unexpected conservative culture, or, these other things that
The
we've talked
endless
about.
springs.
And a lot of people, maybe the first thing that they think of when they think of like traveling to Japan is the food. However, Rich doesn't like it when I use the word but.
But however,
We do not eat pork, and we do not eat pork broth, and we don't like fatty chicken.
We don't eat
and We
beef.
don't eat beef. So, we went to Kobe, but we don't care about Kobe beef, world famous. So for
Yeah.
us, the food in Japan, and this is our last little video, it was a little bit, as it was before. I mean, in some ways, we used to describe our first trip to Japan as that we loved it, but we starved.
and we hated the chicken. I'm sorry, Japanese chicken lovers, but
So
it's like unlike any kind of chicken. It's like they take pieces. I don't know how they do this. I need to Google that one. How they attach whites and dark meats and then wrap it with a lot of fat in it.
we can't figure it out.
It's like,
So you might
It's a
think that
turn
we're
on.
like worldly and sophisticated, but when we go to Japan, I think we ate it like Howard Johnson's or
no,
we did actually.
no, it was
But,
the breakfast thing. It wasn't Howard
so we
Johnson's.
do make a beeline if we can
Denny's,
find,
it was
it was
Denny's.
Denny's, same thing. So,
Japanese
but
stuff.
we do make a beeline when we can find
Indian food.
Indian, which isn't, I don't think we had very good Indian food in Japan, did we? I don't know.
Not bad.
However,
Not
Nothing
bad.
memorable.
Not bad, actually.
we do try to expand our horizons, and we do
We're
like,
better. We're getting better.
we are getting better.
So, Nance, what,
Udon and tempura is a thing, and we discovered that and we like that. But we also had really fun in Arima and in our last hotel, in the last location. This is just a little short video of us enjoying our, let's get rid of
vegetarian,
that.
isn't it? All vegetarian, I think,
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna
one.
kill the audio. This is just the guys making our lunch. It's just a short little minute.
So,
Do you see that, Nance?
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I mean, the food, we really got better. When people would ask us, do we have allergies?
It's an Ikuyu restaurant, which people watching this, someone will know more than we do about. what style of, what that actually means Japanese food wise. But it's
Yeah.
this is the lunch sort of thing that we ordered, you know, no pork, no beef, no pork juice, no beef juice. So, you know, fish is okay, shrimp is okay,
Yeah.
and vegetarian is okay.
They would
So-
ask us, is this for religion, our religion? And, you know,
We-
instead of saying no, we learned to say yes. And I said to Paul, well, it is kind of our religion because our bodies are our temples.
But they do use a lot of fresh, yeah, which of course is the
Don't
truth.
you like that one?
I love it. It's so funny. We
easy.
all justify, don't we? We figure out a way to justify.
It's just
But really,
easier.
when you're traveling, it's what is acceptable, and that's
Yeah.
an acceptable answer to them.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You don't
Yeah,
want to
Yeah.
they
be
were very
rude.
curious.
Although they
So-
didn't know that we bought a pack of Oreo cookies for the bus ride.
Well, I don't think that's against anyone's religion.
Plus Pringles in a can travels very well.
Pringles in a can and
You
a,
can take the boys out
and
of
a stack
America,
of
but you can't take
Oreos.
America out of the boys.
Wait, I thought your body was your temple.
I know you were gonna
Which
come back
is it?
with that one. I know. I feel bad now. But yeah, every now and then you have to eat junk food when you're in transport.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Something's gonna end us, and it might be the Oreos or the Pringles. I don't know.
But in
But
Arima,
didn't
we
they have a
actually have
lot
little
of
bit-
seafood?
Yes, there's a lot of seafood.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
remember that when I was there. There was
Yeah.
seafood everywhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, because it's an island.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you know, I mean,
course.
let's just talk about how hospitality is like over the top with Japanese people. They were like 100% present and lovely
Yeah.
and just in joy in what they do. And again, I compare it to kind of the food service handlers that we encounter, you know, back in the mother country. And there's just this whole different energy that I wish, you know, we could just infuse or ship back to the energetics.
And the aesthetic, the
It-
overall
it's
aesthetic, as a
detail.
lifestyle and as just like a physicality, it's just,
You
it's
order an ice cream sundae and they're in the back room,
like,
lining up
precision.
all the items
yeah,
in the process of making this.
simple kind of Baskin Robbins, kind of like soft serve, whatever, you know, it's the,
Right?
there's such, yeah, we love it. And it has the added bonus from Southeast Asia of being halfway to the West Coast of North America. So
Mhm.
it's a really easy, occasionally sort of like stop in the right time of the year. And,
Yeah,
you know, April really is the right time.
end of March,
Again,
April.
again, if you're really wanting to, and there's certainly a lot of tourists, but it never really felt over the top.
No,
But, you know, there's a lot of other people that are pursuing the beauty of the cherry blossoms and the
a
extraordinary
lot of Europeans.
Japanese gardens, you know, that we also visited
Oh.
here and there. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that's Japan. And we'll be back sometime in,
Mhm.
you know, very likely in
We
the
might
spring.
skip next spring of 25, but my vision is like Tokyo for a month.
Yeah, if we can find a place, I mean, one of the things, you know, it was great to stay in
26.
Shinjuku, but I think we'll stay next time, try to stay in a more central location and, you know, which may be more expensive. We have to gauge that. The
Yeah.
dollar was a little stronger against the
I was
yen
gonna
on our
mention that.
second
We
visit,
felt like
which
food
did
was,
help.
it didn't,
Yeah, the first time around, it's like, don't order a coffee, you know, like it was a little bit expensive. But this was felt a little bit easier to handle financially.
except for the chicken.
Yeah, yeah, and then you have to clarify when you think you're ordering a veg dish, make sure there's no pork juice or anything or pork
Yeah.
broth made.
And you know, we flew out of the airport.
Kansai,
at
in
Kansai.
Osaka, Kansai.
I just
Yeah.
read a piece about that airport, which we had a lovely airport stay, again, an Okura hotel, small room.
Nikko, that's the other brand, because it was the Nikko Kansai
Oh,
Airport
yeah.
Hotel.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
that's also run by Okura, and that was, it's really cool because Kobe is sort of like on the adjacent sort of shore of this bay. And rather than go through Osaka, you can take the train to the end of the line and then a ferry across the water to the Kansai's built into on the water.
Yeah, yeah.
So we could avoid all of Osaka. So even though we were in the Osaka region, we never really were in Osaka. And we left from the Osaka, well, there is an Osaka International Airport, but we left from the Kansai International Airport to fly to Bali.
So
to
what I
Singapore.
was just gonna finish up, I read an article about the Kansai airport for the past 10 years. Get this, they have never lost anyone's luggage in 10 years.
Whoa.
That's Japan.
That's Japan. That kind of sums up
That sums it up.
Japan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an impressive record.
Isn't it though? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So as we have often said, that's a wrap, this time on Japan.
Oh, to be
Oh,
continued
gosh.
though. and-
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long are you going to be in Java?
Total.
2 weeks. Yeah, so we had a month,
Oh,
we had a month
nice.
visa in Indonesia, 2 weeks we decided to do on Bali. Our first visit there, we only did Bali. We were like, we got to do something else. We can't just lay around naked and, everywhere.
It's the Naturel tour, however, so Paul says at least a third of our travels needs to be with their clothing off.
Right, and we
To save
are fully clothed today. So, but we're on Java for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And from here we go to some really wonderful spots, and we'll just save all of that for
Mo-
after the fact on Indonesia. But we've got
Yeah.
3 significant stops before we then fly to Sri Lanka.
So we doing next up Indonesia.
Sri Lanka. We
No,
are.
no, I mean for the podcast.
Oh,
We'll-
right, yeah.
we'll
for the
do
next
Indonesia.
podcast, yeah.
And then
Oh.
onward for 1 month in Sri Lanka.
Wow.
And we were going to do 2 months, but it never came together for us. And our dear tour guide and friend who was our Uber driver for like 8 days, the first time we were into Sri Lanka, we'll spend a month with him and he's gonna school us. And then we kind of came up with, well, we're having this big shift energetically. So our new hashtag is all shift happily now. And so we shifted. Paul goes, how about India? Let's go to Chennai.
So we're going to go to the spiritual town of Oroville, which is just north of the old French settlement of
Chandigarh.
Chandapuri. Somehow that doesn't sound quite right. But close. It's the East Coast in Tamil Nadu state. Anyway, so we'll get there eventually. So, but we will finish up in Indonesia, and then the plan is Sri Lanka, India, and then back to Bali.
Sri Lanka, India, and back to Bali. Wow, I got to get a map out.
I know,
Yeah.
right? So do
To
we.
me, that sounds like, oh, that must be thousands and
You know,
thousands of
Nance,
miles.
it's interesting
It's
because
really
Sri
not.
Lanka, allegedly, like in end of May, June into July, the East Coast on the island is drier. And so we're going to do that. And this is why Paul goes, well, if we follow up, it's only like a 90-minute flight up the same line from Sri Lanka up to
I think
India.
it's less than that.
Yeah, maybe 60.
Yeah,
To Chennai.
it's dry there too that time of
And
year.
so, I'm really excited.
But it's
for
only
more-
it's only a 4.5 hour flight from Jakarta to Colombo, Sri Lanka. So what
Yeah.
is that? Seattle to Chicago or?
So that month
Right.
is going to be like really, I hope just another spiritual layer of what we're doing and Ayurvedic treatments and massage. I'll never forget the oil dripping, it starts with an S word,
Yeah,
Singara or
we'll reacquaint ourselves
so
with some of
that
those
was
healing
just
techniques.
crazy amazing. So yeah. And then again, the weather because Thailand is also on our return list in the fall.
Right.
We'll hook up with my oldest son, Luke, and Patty, who will meet us for the Lantern Festival, the first full moon in November.
In Chiang Mai.
And so we're like, okay, now where is it still dry? Well, Thailand is still in their wet monsoon season. And so Paul's like, what do you think about coming back to Bali? And we're like, After what we've
Mostly in the
experienced
north.
up north,
Mostly in the north.
it's like,
We love it.
it's like
really do.
10% of tourists actually go to the north part. And so I think we're going to become like part-time residents.
Conceivably.
At a couple of
We'll
our
definitely be there
naturist
this summer. Yeah,
resorts.
we'll be there.
Yeah. So that's kind of the story. Any questions?
Wow. No, mind blown, actually, mind blown.
Oh, mind
Yeah.
open.
I'll
Well,
ship
I
happily
mean,
now.
Oh,
you know, to think that you are, you know, that this is your life.
yeah.
You know, this isn't a vacation. This
No,
is your life.
no.
And it's just, I mean, I've never known any human beings ever that this is their life. You're not doing it for a job.
No.
You're doing it because this is what you love to do.
And I
And
love doing it with this guy.
you love,
It's
obviously,
good.
obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that you found a partner who likes to do exactly the same thing, I mean, that's just remarkable.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think
Yeah.
we've both introduced, like subjects of interest to each other that the other one has embraced. And it may be that they've learned to, there may be one of them is, a little more interested in things than the other one, but for the most part, we really do share the same interests. And it's always been that way with us. We've always been able to, like, we were able to remodel our house, 15, 20 years ago without killing each other. And so
Ready to do more of
yeah,
that.
it's like we
Yeah.
can collaborate, on things and find ways to sort of, therapeutically round out the sharp edges if they arise. So,
Yeah, we do really well as
yeah.
travelers.
Yeah.
Oh
It-
my gosh.
It just
I
keeps
mean,
us
really, you're the
fresh.
poster children for what mature relationships are supposed to look like.
Ah,
And
wow,
I
thank you.
applaud you both. In
Well,
my next life, maybe
Oh,
I'll have
that brings a
such an
tear to my eye.
experience.
Thank you.
well, thank you, Nancy, again, as always, and wishing you a nice, I know for us, it's the morning, for you, it's the evening.
And summer
Yeah.
has returned back in
Oh my
Portland.
gosh, we're gonna have, it was 92 today.
Shucks.
That's the same as
Those-
here.
Oh,
Whoa.
really?
Yeah.
Except probably not the same humidity level.
No, I think
No.
it feels like 103,
Yeah,
but you know what? We won't
Yeah.
go out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We'll go out a little bit later.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Nance, you know how much we love and admire you. So thank you for just
Right
being
back at ya.
thank you for being you.
Oh, well, this is just, I really look forward to it. And like I told you when we first started, I was so tired tonight. And as this kept going on, I just kept getting more and more energy. And it's like, okay, I'm ready to go out and party now.
no, you'll
You're
sleep.
gonna go
you'll
party.
sl- You'll sleep well tonight. You'll sleep well. tonight.
Oh, and you have so much daylight now, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. It's 9 o'clock and
Okay.
it's just now twilight.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
Nancy,
So in another month, it'll be, this'll be 10 o'clock and it'll be twilight.
Yeah.
so
And frankly, I think that it should be against the law. It should never be light at 10 o'clock at night.
well, for those of us that don't know Nancy, she lives on a houseboat in a
No, she lives
fabulous,
on a floating home.
Yeah.
excuse me, a floating home with her two cats.
Surrounded by extraordinary nature.
Yeah,
Because a houseboat is a boat.
and your boat doesn't go anywhere.
And there is no boat in
There's
this.
no
Yeah,
propelling.
Uh-huh.
yeah, no propeller.
And she's the port commissioner full-time in her county. So, again, when we say we love and admire her, this woman is like not only beautiful on the outside, but she's brilliant on the inside and has like a creative head on her shoulders. So we love you, Nance.
Yeah, thank you again
Okay.
for coming along with us on these
Oh.
retellings.
I feel very grateful that I get to be a part of this because really, there's no way, it doesn't appeal to me at all. The thought of living out of a suitcase, it's like, oh God, no. But I loved, that's why when I traveled, it was on a sailboat. I took my
Yeah.
house with me,
That's
right.
right. That's right.
because
Yeah.
I'm a nester, and so
Yeah.
to live out of a suitcase would not be my idea of a good time. But oh wow, how I love following what you're doing because
Oh.
you know, you're not just doing it for entertainment. That's what I appreciate so much is there's such an educational component and such a study in sociology, you know,
Right.
because
Oh,
for you
it's
guys,
not-
it's all about the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and we're going to a really mysterious place here next week, which we'll tell you about when we recount Indonesia.
Yeah.
One of our archaeology sort of interest threads. So stay tuned to that.
Yeah.
So we'll
Okay.
end it there.
Paul always says I have a
Okay.
hard time saying
I know,
goodbye
he
on the
never says-
phone, but
yeah.
you know, it again, thank you so much and keep
You're so
shining
welcome.
bright, Nancy.
You too,
Lo-
guys.
Okay, love you.
Have a wonderful time.
We
Bye-bye.
will.
Till next time.
Okay.
Until next time.